Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is time to start my next installment of Reading Borrowed Books, which I believe is Reading Borrowed Books Part 6. But the one that I'm going to pick up first is another one borrowed to me by my mom. She borrows me a lot of books because we have very similar reading tastes. So I am going to pick up The God of the Woods. This is also one that's been on my want to read list for a while. It just seems really interesting to me. I also am very intrigued by this cover. So I'm going to start reading this today, and I will check in when I have something interesting to say. So I just finished The God of the Woods, which was a borrowed book, and I sat down and read the last 300 pages of this book in one sitting. It was so compelling and intriguing, and the way that the author structured this story was so good, and it just left me with the feeling of wanting to keep reading. And that's how I know this was a really good book. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I definitely would love to read more by this author because I loved her writing style and how she structured her story. So I am glad I'm done with another borrowed book and can return it to my mom soon. But otherwise, it is on to picking up my next book, which I'm not sure what that's going to be, but I'm gonna leave you here and I'll check in when I have my next borrowed book. I just finished my next borrowed book. This one I borrowed from the library. It is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think this book got me out of feeling like I didn't want to read anything because I'd been really stuck and not getting into my books. But this one, it's something about Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing that just hooks me in. So I finished another borrowed book and on to my next book to read. I picked up my next borrowed book. I already took the dust jacket off. It is Broken Country. So I have just started it, and so far it's a very quick read, and so I'm hoping to get it done in the next week so I can return it to the person it belongs to. So let's get reading. So I've been going through my footage, and I realized I never filmed a wrap-up for my next borrowed book. I finished Broken Country the other day. This is a fairly short book. It's about 300 pages, and I didn't expect the twists that happened at the end until it got to the point that those twists were happening. It was definitely literary. There's a bit of mystery for you as a reader, but not for the characters in the book. But it was a very enjoyable, quick read. Got me into that more literary space, and I definitely enjoyed it, but now it can be returned to its owner. I am starting my fourth borrowed book of this episode, and I'm going to be reading Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood. This book was borrowed to me by my sister, and I was hoping to get this done earlier in the month because I just saw her, but I will see her next month as well. So let's get reading on this borrowed book and knock out as much of it as we can so it can be returned. I finished Not in Love the other day. I finished it shortly before we left to go on a trip, so I didn't get to check in then. But this is my next borrowed book that I have finished, and I can return to my sister around the holidays now that I have finished it. And that is also all for this video. I have finished another 4 borrowed books. I do have quite a few still on my shelf, so I do need to lock in and get some more of those borrowed books done, but that's where I'm going to leave this video for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.